Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Penalty Loop Podcast, a podcast about biathlon by Jordan Gottschalk from Penalty Loop and a regular guest, RJ Weiss from Biathlon Analytics. Dr. J, how are you?
Well, I'm now recording from a new location, so this is, I think, my third new location in 3 weeks.
First you get kicked out of the house to the car,
yeah.
And now you're kicked out of the car into your office.
Into my office, yeah. I'm
where can we go from there?
From a whole different town. Well, I'll be probably out of the country at this rate. Next, I'll be in my parents' house. It's getting bad.
Yeah, and it sounds a bit like you're on a steamer or something.
Yeah, so they've this white noise machine that runs through like the air vents, basically, so that nobody can hear. I can have a conversation with a patient in this room, but nobody in the next room can hear it. And the result is that there's just this constant sound that it sounds like wind. And actually, it sounds exactly the same inside as it does if it's pouring rain. And so oftentimes patients are in the middle of like, they'll be like, is it raining outside? And like, no, I promise you it's not raining outside. Because
although I had a friend who was in Florida last week to go to all the parks there and stuff with his family. Yeah. And he said you guys had 8 degrees Celsius and rain.
Yeah, it was pretty gross. Last week, was it last week? Last week was pretty ugly. And just kind of gross weather. It's not like it was, freezing. It was just.
Well, it's just not Florida, whatever.
It's not Florida, yeah.
So, yeah. Yeah, I had a friend come over from Holland, and I met up with him on Monday night, and he got the true Canadian experience with minus 30.
Good.
I think it was minus 26 for them. With the wind chill, was minus 32 Celsius. So it was. It's hard to really understand because he was like, "Oh, do I need a toque? It's only 10-minute walk, right?" It's like, yeah, you need a toque if you don't want to feel like your head's frozen and your skin starts to tingle and then you lose feeling of your skin. So yeah, it was a fun experience.
I'm glad I'm not experiencing it quite yet. I'm okay with hanging out with this weather for a little while longer, just a little while.
Yeah.
If everybody wants to wish me luck, and I'm being a little bit silly about this, I have an English language exam for immigration coming up soon. So I hope I can pass it. But, maybe some of you listening to this are doubting my abilities.
Maybe they'll force you to take some brush-up courses because, does it have any part on pronouncing surnames from different languages?
I don't think it does. We'll find out. The funniest thing is that if you ask anybody who's traveled to Europe, we will all tell you that like the clearest, the best pronunciation of anything, and I'm not just saying this because I'm talking to you, but the pronunciation of anything English comes from Dutch people, and I don't know what it is, but you guys, it's like somehow you guys come out to like the perfect English, at least American.
Not
English.
The British.
Oh, the British are terrible, man. Sorry, there's some British listeners. I'm just offending everyone left and right. But in all seriousness, we joke that you guys speak English better than Americans do, better than anybody. You travel around here, and there are seriously places in my home state where I've taken Katie, and she did not understand what people were saying because their local accents were so thick. It's pretty wild sometimes.
Well, I can tell you, as small as Holland is, the people from Friesland or Groningen in the north, if they speak their dialect, especially if they're more from rural areas and they go to people from the far south, they'll have a really hard time understanding each other. And Frisian is actually a separate language altogether.
Mm-hmm.
So they're basically bilingual.
Well,
it's
good
really
for them.
Just like Canada in a nutshell, right? Canada has Quebec.
Mm-hmm.
Holland is Friesland.
Well, there you go. See, it wasn't a big deal for you to move.
No, it's just kind of a different scale.
Yeah, just a little bit, just a tiny, tiny bit.
Yeah.
So we're recording on Wednesday, February 5th. A weird day. I think we're smack in between the last races in Holtz and the beginning of the World Championships. But we have a lot to talk about because, of course, there were the European Championships last week. Before that, there were the Junior European Championships, and then we have to talk about next week. We have to talk about the World Championships. So we got a lot to chat about. A lot of good stuff, a little bit of sad stuff. So I don't know. Where do you want to start? There's one big story that I think you and I both want to start with, but I don't know if you
starts
really
with the B.
Starts with a B. Yes.
Yeah. Fantastic. Baiba Bendika. She's already been skiing quite well the last couple of races before, and then she won. Was it the Pursuit, right?
The Pursuit, yeah.
Pursuit race and the European Championships. She was in third. I think she came in third in the sprint, just like split second behind the second place. Yeah, what a fantastic result, and she made it exciting. She pulled us a little Jacqueline at the end there. She shot clean the first three shootings, and then and it was funny because the commentators of the Swedish TV, they were like, even if she shoots two misses, she can still easily, like, it's not going to be a big deal. And three would be a little, But
three was a little close.
We chatted for just a tiny bit, and she said that I was probably the 500th person that told her that she made it more exciting than it should have been. But in the end, 3 out of 20, she'll take that every race, I'm pretty sure.
Oh gosh, yeah.
So, and we've talked about it before with her ski speed, and she has a chance, right? So it was really awesome to see. Very happy for her.
I was excited on Wednesday when she finished, I think, 11th in the individual, and I was like, all right, things are looking better. And so I sent her a message afterward, and she was like, yeah, I'm feeling pretty good, and we'll see how it goes the rest of the way. Clearly, I think she's never going to go out there and say, oh yeah, I feel great. I'm ready to go. Ready.
I don't think
do something awesome, but I think clearly she knew she was feeling pretty good.
Yeah.
And she gets that. I woke up on I guess it was Friday, and the race had been run at I think 4:30 in the morning our time. And so I wake up at 5:30 and I see that she's in third place, and I was like, oh my god, because I think she had just finished when I woke up. And I was like, everything I could do not to text you because I didn't want to, ruin it for you. And I was so overjoyed to see that. And then of course it got better, the next day when she wins. And I'm super happy. I mean, you have met Baiba. I've never, I haven't had that I haven't had that moment yet, but we've talked to her so many times, and she's been so open and willing to share things. She's chatted with both of us offline, and she's just such a fun person to be a fan of. Like she just, the way she opens up to everybody and kind of shows us behind the scenes what's going on, her own personal story, having her son born last September and coming back 2 months later is the classic, Baiba story. And I know that the beginning of this season was not what she had hoped for. And she talked about that, and they clearly hit the reset button, and it worked really, really well.
She probably didn't train enough, is my guess.
Yeah, probably. I think that was it.
Yeah,
that woman.
She only has 3 sessions a day, and that's not going to cut it, right?
Wasn't getting it. And then my favorite thing actually from the weekend for Baiba was her last lap of the Pursuit, because she has those 3 misses just to make things a little bit interesting. And the first section of the last lap, I think I sent you the splits. I don't know if I posted them, but she just went blasting away, and it was if somebody had even the most remote chance of catching her, it was over, by the time she was a few hundred meters down, down the,
I wonder if there was a coach after that split that said the others have missed too. So
yeah, you can calm down now. But I mean, that her split went, I think Poof was 12 seconds or 17 seconds behind her, and then at the next split, I think the closest person was 27 or 30 seconds behind her, and it was all right, it's done. No one's catching her. And it's classic because she's told us before that she considers the last lap to be her superpower, and man, there it was. That was just really, really cool. I'm just happy. That's all. I'm just happy.
I think my wife was pretty happy I didn't watch it live because I was pretty verbal when she won the race. So
yes,
to hear that at 2:30 in the morning is probably not ideal.
Probably not a good thing. I know it was. Golly, I was nervous watching that.
I know. I did the last shooting.
Yes. Yeah. I my hands were so sweaty, just watching it happen. Yeah. And she made us sweat. Oh, but hey, speaking
Pretty
of her
cool.
shooting.
Yeah.
What'd you think of her rifle?
I mean, other than I think I texted you at some point, it looks like she has a new stock at least. And then, I mean, other than that, I couldn't really see much. I did look up the DW1 website, Doro's new rifle company. I'm guessing it's mostly stock. I don't think she's gonna replace the actual action from Anschutz with anything. But I am really curious because I know from we've talked Matthias and some other athletes. And I'm not sure if Behrman is the same guy as the guy that makes stock in Antholz or in Italy. Mm-hmm. But there's been a name around for a very long time who made stocks, and I'm pretty sure he was from Italy, and I thought specifically from Antholz, but maybe I'm completely wrong. But anyway, I was just very curious if that's sort of her in partnership with this person, or if it's a completely new group that probably were already doing woodwork and maybe even rifles, but maybe not that well known. And I guess she really is thinking of, she knows that at some point she will have to retire, and then she clearly wants to stay involved with biathlon because otherwise you wouldn't really do this. So
yeah, it's pretty cool. She was saying that Doro, hooked her up with it. I think she said over the summertime, and then they've been kind of tinkering with it and working with it, and she started feeling really comfortable. Clearly,
has she been using it the whole season, or was this the first?
I didn't clarify. Yeah, I don't know if she's been using it the full season or not.
It looked brand new.
Yeah, it looked. Yeah. So it was pretty neat.
Yeah. Well, what a booster to win a race. Yeah.
That's what I was gonna say. Is now we're gonna see if anybody else starts using it.
Mm-hmm.
Did you see the video of Baiba after she won the pursuit? I think Biathlon, the IBU posted on their Instagram page.
I saw a number of videos from her and something in the biathlon world. I don't know if there's a specific one that you're alluding to, but
where she skis right over. They showed her skiing over and saying, hi to her son right after she finishes.
No, I didn't see that one.
Oh, and so I asked her about that, and she said the stinker, that was his nap time, so he was asleep. And I just think it's so funny that his mom wins this huge race. He's what a year and a few months old, but his mom wins this big race, and he's just snoozing away in his little stroller. Yeah. That was pretty cool.
Well, maybe you should do it every time, hey?
Yeah, yeah. Bring him out there and let him snooze away. It's a good luck charm.
Yeah. Anyway, go ahead.
I was just saying I could turn this into a whole hour-long Baiba podcast. and, to be honest, we probably should have her back on, but yeah, I'm just very excited about it.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And I was gonna use your comment about her shooting as a lead-in to something else I wanted to talk about.
Sure. Yeah.
Because this is the first. Well, first of all, I wanted to say what a fantastic venue. Like, yes. Gorgeous to look at. It really reminded me of when I used to hang out in like little valleys in Austria, and just there's often a lot of skiing along a creek, and this really reminded me of that. It was a very cozy atmosphere. And then I realized that when they entered the shooting range, I kept seeing that they zoomed in on the flag to show if it was windy or not. And I thought, oh, that's actually a nice idea, because usually you have the flag post, the little flag posts that have these flags on them at least close to the mats and close to the targets, and I think there might be one in between. And they fall over sometimes, and I thought, oh, that's a good idea. Yeah. They have these cables, and then I started realizing that there were flag posts in front of the mat. So I'm like, oh, that's kind of odd. And then I realized they were shooting across a creek.
Mm-hmm.
And we've seen some very odd shooting results in the European Championships. Like you'd see the flag and it's almost dead, but then people were missing 2, 3, 4 shots. And I am really curious, and I'd love to talk to, like someone like Matthias or Baiba, or who's actually been experiencing that. I'm really curious how much that impacts the shooting range, because I remember as a kid we would play in the creek in the summer, and there's always kind of a bit of a draft funneling through, right? It's a bit of a tunnel effect. So that I can't imagine that it wouldn't have any. Like, I don't know if there was much water in it, but even just the shape of a creek bed or river bed, and it comes under that bridge, I could totally see how that would impact the wind conditions in the range and lead to some pretty surprising results. Now, it could be that it was completely different, that something completely different that caused all these misses, but it was really weird. Like, but when you see them in another stadium on a bright sunny day and there's no wind, and you kind of expect at least 80, if not 90% from most of these athletes, and to see like so many big names hit 2 or miss 2 or 3, that was it was really weird. So yeah, I'm really curious. So obviously, well, I don't know. Maybe you have the answer. I shouldn't assume you don't.
I don't have the answer. I wish I did.
But it was really cool. I thought it was a gorgeous venue. It felt that the crowd was maybe a bit far from the range, but then I kind of thought of what that looked like compared to where the people were sitting in the building and in the stands in Canmore, and it probably wasn't really that much further. It didn't seem overly packed, even on the weekend, but maybe that was just me looking at the wrong spots. But man, I would, if they would ever go for having the World Cup over there, that'd be
I'm
pretty
sure
exciting.
There's like a logistical reason why they can't.
Yeah.
But I would love to see the athletes on that course. It looked super challenging.
Yeah, there was this one hill that.
Yeah, and I would love to see them out there. It was pretty to look at. I mean, that's a silly thing to think about, but just like when you're sitting there watching however many hours of biathlon over the weekend, it's really nice to have something pretty to look at for the entire time.
Of course, yeah,
right. And so that was really nice just to have that sort of on the screen. I just was like this great advertisement for the Italian Alps in the wintertime. But I totally agree. I would love to see it.
Yeah, and then even found the like you said, the course was just very windy, and it had that big climb in it where, I don't know, like I think on the Swedish TV they call it the panda technique, but maybe I'm mixing it up with a different broadcast. But it's basically a technique you seldom see at this level, where they kind of do like it's almost like walking up. But it's actually it's an efficient technique for really steep sections, but also for when you're just exhausted and you still need to get up the hill. Obviously, it's not the fastest one, but and that kind of brings my thoughts back to what I wanted to say, is that the level of competition was so high.
Yes. Yeah.
Like I really remember thinking or watching an IBU Cup race maybe 5 years ago, and just knowing that it's a lower level, and even like the organization of the event, you could just see there was a lower level, which you would expect. But now, like the organization of the course and everything, it pretty much, if you would have said, oh, it's a World Cup that you're looking at, I wouldn't be, I'd have to look another couple times to make sure that it wasn't. So
I couldn't agree more.
Yeah.
It was so
enjoyable.
spectacularly well done.
Yeah.
And like you said, just the quality of the athletes in the field, like not to denigrate anybody at any time that's raced on the IBU Cup. I mean, that sounds sort of like what I'm doing, but I just look at how strong these athletes are, both the men and the women, and just like, man, these are good races. I'm glad that they were on TV, because I know that the IBU Cup the rest of the season has not been on TV, and I know that's a financial reason, but this really good races, and then I would like to echo that as well, that it was a really good course to challenge these athletes. I remember specifically seeing, I think it was the sprint, Christensen came across, it was definitely the sprint. He came across the finish at the very, very end, of course, and he looked dead. And, sometimes you'll see athletes and they're exhausted, and they'll sort of like make a joke to the camera, like, hey, I'm exhausted, something like that. Like, he could barely even just like bring himself to look up. Like, he had just,
but I think he must have blown up, because he lost a lot of time in that last lap. Like,
but I know, but it's still like,
could be the elevation
he's somebody
too.
that you expect to see, on the World Cup,
right?
I know,
and
he was so exhausted by this course. So like, it kind of puts into perspective how good everybody else was.
Well, it's a perfect lead into one of the questions. I don't know if you secretly peeked at them, but
I did not. It said don't look, so I didn't look.
Do you think it made the choice for the Norwegian coaches any easier now, the European Championships, to decide who's going to join the A team, I guess, in Lenzerheide?
Probably. I mean, I think that at least for this season, I think that the only man on the IBU Cup that really made a strong case for themselves was Isaac Frey, and frankly, I think the plan for him is just to keep him. Well, I don't know. I'll come back to him in a second, but I Bakken did pretty well. Christensen certainly did not. I mean, he got second in the sprint, but I mean, the way that he performed in the pursuit, getting 13th, didn't do it. I guess he was fourth in the individual. I don't know. Maybe I'm arguing myself out of it. My initial perception, which is the question you asked, was did I think that it made the choice easier? I think that it did, if only because I'm not sure that one or two of these guys separated themselves entirely, except for Frey. I still think Frey looked the best of all of them, but even him, I wouldn't say was so dominant, so good that he has to move up. So I think the Norwegian coaches can credibly make an argument that they want to keep the group that they have. If they want to swap out Stromsheim, for example, fine. But I think they can make the argument to keep the group that they have on the World Cup and just roll with them the rest of the way.
Do you think there's any? Would there be any argument for saying, well, we can't really go wrong with our pick, so we should pick our younger guys because they have more time ahead of them?
Sure, why not? No, I don't know. They're so good. I don't know. I think
it would be good for them to have the experience of a major event before the Olympics next year.
Well, especially because we know that
if they qualify for the Olympics,
at least 2, if not 3 spots open next year on the World Cup team. If Christensen can reclaim his spot, I guess remains to be seen. And then JT and Tarjei. It'd be, even if they don't go to the World Championships, it might be good to get Isaac Frey or Boten or Bakken maybe back up to the World Cup for a few races, just to remember what it's like, or to see what it's like being there with the bigger crowds and everything. But I think the World Championship team is set, and they're gonna roll with the guys they got,
including Christensen.
I think that he goes as a possible only for the relay, sort of
a backup, right?
Yeah,
kind of if someone is sick. Yeah. And then, I mean, Dahle, his not so fortunate season continues because he was sick, and then I think the races he did do were not, clear evidence that he should be right back in the World Cup team. I saw that today he got 5th in the sprint in Ritnaun. But do you think,
how crazy is it?
Has it crossed your mind to think of that Anderson guy?
Oh,
was it
certainly.
Philip or the other? Like that Dahle at some point would say, that he's like, I'm mentally, I'm just spent. I can't do this every year, like hoping that I'll be in the team, and then maybe not one bad result. And like I said, he didn't really do himself a favor this weekend to make it very easy for them to select him. But I don't know. It's he's not helping himself, and I definitely feel like he's the athlete that if they're in doubt, he's not the first one they pick. And it could be that they just want to go with younger. But I mean, he's not like 35 or whatever. He's only 27.
It's the craziest thing. He's 27. He turns 28 in May, and Frey won the individual and came in 5th in the sprint and 2nd in the pursuit. You had Bakken, who won the sprint and was 4th in the pursuit and had I think a top 10 in the individual. Yeah, 8th in the individual. Christensen 4th, 2nd, 13th. Boughton was 5th in the individual. So it's like these guys are all so good, and that Dalla finishes 7th, and we're like, yeah, it really wasn't that good. It just speaks to how insane this conversation is, how good these athletes are. That, and of course he missed out on the rest of the races, but just that you finish 7th and you're the 4th man on your own team in that race. I know. I have a hard time with that, just sort of comprehending it. Or you have Frey finishes 5th in the sprint, and he's the 4th Norwegian. Like, he's behind Bakken, Christensen, and Aspenes. Yeah. Like, it's bananas. I
thought Aspenes was also one of the younger ones, but he's already 27 as well.
I know. He's just, these guys, this is the problem, is that they never quite get the opportunity, and then suddenly they're 27, 28, and they're in the middle of their career.
Yeah.
What is Bakken now? 25? 26. Yeah. So we're just sort of, I'm worried. No, I shouldn't be. Worried is not the right word. But, there's this whole generation that is sort of not going to get their opportunity until they're deeper into their career. Boughton is turning 26 this summer. So, like, these guys who...
Yeah, deeper in the career, but then there's also probably 10...
The next group.
19-year-olds that are waiting to jump up, right?
Yeah, because you got Isaac Frey, who's just 21 years old, and I believe that if he were on the World Cup this year, he would be winning the blue bib. You have Kasper Kalkenberg, he's racing on the juniors. He hasn't even raced on the IBU Cup yet. So these guys are just outrageously good. Yeah.
Kind of similar question for the German team, both men and women. Was there anybody on that end who really stood out to you?
I really liked Poof.
Mm-hmm.
Poof. I mean, her shooting was phenomenal. I know that she wasn't happy with her skiing. I would imagine primarily because of the pursuit. I think she left the range after the last shoot in 2nd, ended up in 7th, or 9th, excuse me. But she looked very solid. I was very excited to see that. Was there somebody for you who...
No, the Poof as well. Like I like the... I don't know, if you have to make a pick, I'd rather pick somebody with a very solid shooting, but,
yeah,
the chance that the skiing will improve.
Yeah,
towards
especially that young.
Yeah, but I mean, I think it's a similar situation where you can almost justify any pick they do, right?
And she did get picked for the World Cup, for the World Championships too. So that'll be exciting. So she gets to go. I think she's a reserve, but I'm very excited that she gets to have that experience. I mean, the Germans, the German women overshadowed by the French women in terms of their depth, but I think we've talked about them. It just seems like every other week there's another German woman. You got Poof and Fiechner.
Did you hear the name Voldija Galmas-Paulin? Does that ring a bell for you?
Oh, yeah. Yeah. She's been tearing it up this year on the IBU Cup.
Yeah, I have not been following the IBU Cup that closely, and I don't recall seeing that name, and she just won today.
Because she's brand new as of like last year. We just she showed up on the juniors and looked good, and then she just won today, and I think she has like six top 10s this trimester and 4 podiums. So
wow,
yeah, they just keep pumping them out. There's another one. Did I tell you about Amandine Menjin? Mengin?
Yeah.
So she's coming.
Kelly Bennett. And I mean, so they had 6 athletes in the top 9 today.
Today, I know.
In the sprint.
So
and
silly.
they're 24. Guillaume Gigonat is old because he's 26, and Sophie Chauveau is already 25. And then they have, 20 years old, 24, 19.
Well, and you sort of feel like with Sophie Chauveau, she's almost in a situation like Dalla. Now, it's not exactly comparable, but just in terms of being at that stage in your career and
crazy pressure to
yeah. Right, and you clearly can compete on the World Cup, but these younger athletes just keep pushing you down.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, because then Botte comes right back and gets second, and Chauveau, Huguenot. I mean, they just packed everybody in there today. It's just not fair. You know what's interesting though is that they did not, like, the French women did not have a great week in the European Championships. I don't know what happened there.
Maybe wax. Like relative for them, you mean? Like they didn't win everything?
Yeah, exactly. Right?
Oh.
Speaking of women at the European Championships, what did you think of Anna-Karin Heijdenberg?
Yeah, she looked decent.
Yeah. That was pretty good, huh? No,
it was fun to also see that on the relay. I don't think she did very well.
No.
And how old is she?
24, 25? She's not not terribly old. Yeah, 24.
But, it's because again, I watched on the Swedish TV, and it was funny how they almost seemed like, oh well, she won was it the sprint? I think that she won. And she was the anchor leg, so now it's, we're good. And then it shows you that, how hard it is to perform at that high level. Where if
mm-hmm.
if everything doesn't click in a race, then you can go from first to, I don't know what her result was for the leg, but
yeah, wasn't ideal.
Yeah. What did you think of the talking about relays, about the men's relay?
Well, what I saw there was a Norwegian team that was out there kind of doing their own training session. And then there were some other people that happened to be on the course.
Yeah.
Kind of ridiculous. I think that just sort of proves what we saw the rest of the championship. It's also kind of outrageous. They had one miss in the entire relay, and then you look at Germany had one penalty loop, France had 2 penalty loops, Italy had 1, Sweden 1, Bulgaria.
Do you remember who missed?
I don't. Who was it?
No, I don't know. I'm just curious who spoiled the party.
It was Christensen. And not only that, but he missed one in his prone shooting. So that means after that they hit their last 20, 35 targets in a row. Yeah.
That's interesting that he started like in the first leg.
Wow, he's just not that good, man. He's all washed up.
No, I know. Well, but I mean, he's Mr. Solid in the World Cup level relays.
Yeah.
So that surprised me a bit. But do you have any thoughts on the the salute and the selfie and all that jazz? Or
truthfully, I think that I'm willing to give Frey a little bit of leeway. One, because I think that's just what most of the guys are doing these days on the World Cup. So he sees, JT Bowe swishing the crowd and Jacqueline doing his 2-0, 3-0, 4-0 every week with the when they win the relay. And I don't know. I
didn't get the impression he really wanted to be in the selfie. Like I saw the actual picture taken.
Yeah.
And it's not like,
no.
I don't know. And my initial response was, I thought from the angle, it looked like he was doing a selfie to the rest of the teams. Like, see you later. Then later seeing it again on a different broadcast, I'm pretty sure he just did it to his coach,
Yeah,
which I think
so.
makes a big difference.
Yeah.
I mean, not that they care what I think about it, but I still would like to.
You don't think they do?
Not
I think
see
they're
it.
listening.
But that's just me being old and, having a hard time keeping up with all the young kids with their different ideas
their
about things.
pants.
But I don't know. Like, they were kicking butt. I can understand that you feel pretty good about yourself. So
yeah, I think it's interesting. They clearly were feeling pretty good. That's just I don't know, like, they didn't need to hit every single shot. They probably were going to win anyway. But it was just sort of like the best possible version of that relay team. It's kind of ridiculous.
Yeah. I must say there's a tiny evil streak in me that thought, I kind of hoped that the selfie coach that would cause a disqualification for being on the track where he wasn't supposed to be.
Yeah.
Not that I would have wished that for any of the athletes and not even for the coaches, but secretly I was like, maybe that will put at least some boundaries on, because I mean, what's the next, right? Like skiing with the coach in your bag, hoisting a big flag.
No, the next one is you ski with your
with the
flag
camera
of your own fan club.
Yeah.
While
filming for social media.
Yeah. That's definitely going to happen, right? Somebody's totally going to do that. It's going to get a camera and film like the last 100 meters or something.
I can't imagine that would be allowed.
Maybe not.
I did find it interesting.
You can get a flag, though.
I think I was looking for a picture of the creek running through the range. And
can't find it.
For some reason, I found a picture of, it seems to be what's a race, and then there's a biathlete dressed almost in all white who seems to have a camera right on her head, like a GoPro, whatever.
Huh.
And I don't know if that was at the Olympics or something, but like to have somebody literally in the field. She was on a mat. And I wondered if that maybe was like a demonstration race that they did there just to, give people at home kind of a feeling for what it's like, or.
Yeah.
But she wasn't, it seemed like she didn't have a bib on. So it was. And didn't was it Sven Fischer that at some point skied after the field just to see how fast they were going?
Yeah. Because I made the comment last year, I said something about the poor cameraman because I didn't realize who it was. The feed I was watching, I didn't. All I saw was somebody skiing with a camera, just the camera view, and I was like, oh man, and you're like, yeah, that poor cameraman, Sven Fischer.
Yeah,
but. I don't know. He was not dressed in all white, though. He was just dressed in his normal attire, as far as I could tell.
Yeah, I think this person probably did the whole loop that was dressed in white, so they didn't want it to be on the camera.
Yeah.
I guess they want the footage
possible.
Because you see a lot of people that do the camera work for TV are often dressed in white. But I also wanted to shout out, it seemed like a couple of Canadian women, including Emily Dixon, were sick at least part of the championships, but they had some really good results. Janice Grundahl, with only one miss, got 36th. In the individual, Shyla Russo, 46th. And she's been skiing quite fast. Because she had 5 misses in the individual and still got in 46. And there was also a moment where she had the fastest first lap. I don't know if that was in the relay or, but she was flying out there. Moira Green.
You saw that Shyla Russo, she was named to the World Championship team, right?
I did not. I haven't seen that yet.
How cool is that?
Yeah. Well, she's been on the World Cup pretty much whole season, right?
I know, but I'm really proud of her. Because she's still what? I mean, she's 23, 24, 25, somewhere in that range.
Anyway, I'm not sure what her age
24,
is. But,
just found her. Yeah. So, I mean, that's pretty cool.
Yeah, and Moira Green had 4 misses out of 20, 59th, and Benita Pfeiffer 71st. And like I said, Emily didn't start. And then on the men's side, Zach Connolly, 57, Daniel Gilfillan, 73rd with only one miss. Gavin Johnson was 89th, and then Halden, Borglum, and Matstrom did not start. I don't know if that was... I think Halden was sick because he also didn't start for the sprint. And I don't know if Matt didn't start because it just didn't have enough spots. But sprint, Shiloh 35th with one miss. Pfeiffer 44th, two misses. Grundahl 84th. And Green and Dixon did not start. And then we had Zach Connolly with one miss. Matstrom got a 91st but had no misses, which I was very excited to see. And then Gavin 100 and Gil Fillon 116. So for the women, 2 made it to the pursuit, qualified for the pursuit. And Shiloh got in 24th, in increasing by 12 spots, or improving by 12 spots, but only one miss. So another great race with shooting. And I was very impressed with Benita because I think her first 3 shots of the race were misses. I'm not 100% sure if it was 3 in a row or not, but after that she hit all but one and improved her spot by 2.
Nice.
So I think, that's a really good result. On the women's relay, they did not start, even though they were on the start list. And even when I looked after, they didn't have any stats behind the team, but it didn't say did not start at first. So I wonder if there was sort of a last second call with, having some sick people on the team that maybe decided they weren't fit enough to race.
Yeah.
And then the men had Zach Connolly with 2 reloads only. Then Halden, who had to miss the previous races, he got his loop in, and then Gavin got lapped. And unfortunately, Daniel wasn't able to ski because they were lapped already. And this is for the slim chance that somebody on my team is hearing that Canada also got a 2-minute time adjustment for cross-firing. So they always make fun of me that I do that, and I do. So it's all justified that they make fun of me. But even at that level, it still happens.
Oh man. Well, I'm glad you can laugh at yourself.
Awesome job for Team Canada, and I don't know. I'm quite impressed how they're doing overall so far, and I'm really hoping for some great results at the World Championships. So, do you remember who else are going on the men's side?
I can find it for you real quick. Well, while we're talking about relays, I just wanted to mention that we had the first relay for a senior Danish team that ran, and then we also had the first senior relay for a women's Australian team, and the second ever for a men's Australian team. And for Australia, they actually had, believe it or not, run a women's relay on the World Cup. That was all the way back in the 1991-92 season. Yep. So they returned. I just thought that was kind of cool. You just don't see that very often.
Sure, yeah. Our friend from Mexico was also there.
He was there. Yes. Yes. And did you see there was a Chilean woman that was there, a couple Brazilians?
No, but there was a video of his name escapes me now, but the guy we talked to in Camor for Mexico, and he was talking about being there, and some people are like, well, you're quite far behind, and is it worth it? And he's like, because I'm here, there's a Mexican flag behind the shooting range, and just for that reason alone, he's like, that's why I love being here, and that's why I wanted to be here. And I thought that was really cool to highlight that maybe he's not competing for the podium at this point, but he's representing his country. His country is represented with a flag behind the shooting range. Like, that
maybe some kid is going to see that.
Super cool, right? Yeah.
Just takes one. The Canadian team, For the women, Shiloh Russo, and then no surprise, Emma Lunder, Nadia Moser, and then Pascal Paradis rounds out the team. For the men, Adam Runnels and Logan Pletz are joined by Haldon Borglum and Zachary Connolly.
That's interesting that that Haldon still got through, and maybe that was already kind of determined with him being sick. That would have been really disappointing if he hadn't been able to make it. So glad for him to see that he's getting a chance in Lenzerheide for sure.
Oh, this is something I wanted to mention, was the Italian team had, I think,
gold medal.
Gold. Yes, exactly. Got the gold medal. Patrick Braunhofer. He was the first non-Norwegian man to win a race on the IBU Cup this season, or the IBU Cup level this season. So,
no way.
Yeah. And he did it in the pursuit. I think he came from, 13th to 1st?
And there was only 2 that had 0. I think that was a race where everybody was missing left, right, and center.
Yes. Oh, yes, it was. Yep.
And he, I think there was, I looked it up, I think there was one other athlete who also had 0 misses, either from Ukraine or
there were 2
Finland
actually.
Okay.
Moldova. And the other one was Jacopo Leonicio, who I probably mispronounced his first name. It's probably Jacopo. And he actually went 50 for 50 for the weekend.
Wow.
Did not have a single miss. Nope.
Italy as well?
Italy as well, yeah. And it was funny because I mentioned him after the sprint. I put up a post about him because it was neat that, or the individual, I think, he finished in 12th, which I think was maybe his best finish ever at the time, or one of his best. And I was like, he'd had a couple good finishes recently, and then he went 10 for 10 in the sprint and finished in 23rd. So I was like, cool. He had another perfect day, and then he finished it off 50 for 50. That was pretty cool. Yeah,
that
especially when everybody was missing everywhere, and he just nailed it. So I was pretty excited about that. So congratulations, his first top 10. Congratulations to Jacopo. But yeah, I thought the Italians had a nice little run there at the end, especially.
Well, that makes me wonder again if there is any benefit of having shot at this range more often.
Right.
As you were talking, I was looking up where Braunhofer is from, and he actually lives in Ritnaun, where the IBU Cup is right now.
Right now, yes.
I have no idea how close they are to each other, and if they often do practice in Martel. Mm-hmm. But I
don't know.
Yeah, maybe there's a secret flag hidden under the bridge somewhere where you can.
It's actually
yeah.
They put it there a while ago.
Yeah.
And then, but also for the Italians, they had Birgit Scholzhorn, who finished in 8th. That was her career best in the pursuit. Who I believe is the partner of Campbell Wright. I could be spreading false information, and I apologize if I am. And Linda Zingerl. Probably, how do you pronounce that?
Zingerli?
Yes. Yeah.
But yeah, and I'm sure in Italy it's different again. But
so she was 8th in the individual, and I think she had another good 11th in the sprint, and then she was 3rd in the pursuit. That's what I was thinking. So she obviously had a good week. Rebecca Passler had a top 10 in there. Nicola Romanen was in the top 10 a couple times. So it's just nice to see them performing well. And then they closed out strong. The women got 3rd in the relay. The men were 4th. So they did their home crowd very, very proud, I think.
Mm-hmm. Timing is kind of odd, hey, for the IBU Cup, where they have the Ritnaun IBU Cup now, and then start of March they have 2 more, and then they're done.
It is, right? They've got a whole month in between. It's kind of a strange, and then having the European Championships, and then having I always imagine in fact I thought there was a week off between the IBU or the European Championships, and then the World Championships with nothing. I just don't remember it being
maybe that's
this way.
Well, and I definitely, think looking at the places like they had Martello and now Ritnaun also in Italy, and then the last 2 are both in Otepää.
Yeah, cutting down on travel.
Maybe that's, I don't know if that's cost saving or environment saving or both. But
well, Yeah, absolutely could be both. I also wanted to mention a couple of American stories. Paul Schomer.
Yeah.
He at first I was really excited that he came back and looked pretty good in the at the European Championships, and I was like, all right, nice to see Paul Schomer back. Finishes in 24th in the individual, and then well, damn it, he went out there and got third today in the sprint. So that's pretty cool, and also he made the World Championship team. So it's been a couple long
Sweet.
years for him coming back from that knee injury. So it's just really cool to see him.
Well, and I feel like
come back.
He's always supposed to be there.
Yeah.
And then every time I'm like, what's happening with him? And to the point that I thought maybe he just, retired or, but how can we not have Paul Schomer, the athlete with the best IBU picture of the whole field?
Yeah.
On the World Cup.
It's pretty amazing. And I think Maxime Germain or one of the younger guys, if you look it up, like he tried to replicate Paul Schomer's picture. It's really funny.
Talking about today's.
Well, hold on.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, we're not done with the Americans yet. I'm still an American for another few weeks.
What?
Chloe Levens. No, she had some pretty strong skiing at the European Championships, and then today she finished in. Oh, what was it? Where did she go?
She skied away. That's how fast she
was. No, it's because I pulled up the wrong thing. She finished in 16th, which was her career best today on the IBU Cup. So she's also going to be at Worlds. So kind of nice to have them. They're both returning to the World Championship team. They're both coming in on good form. So I'm happy to see it.
And to follow up on your comment, I did look up Maxime Germain's picture, and it looks pretty normal, but he has a very interesting hobby listed.
Oh, no.
And it's called PUBG.
What is that?
I don't know if you're familiar with that at all, but it's like a shooting game, battle royale. So it's like I think like 100 people on an island, and then the last survivor wins.
What is this?
I don't think you'll find that a lot as hobbies, but it is a cool game. I used to play it too. It's a lot of fun. You've probably heard of Fortnite, right?
Yes.
So it's a similar idea. It's just
same thing.
Yeah,
okay.
But it's also on mobile. I might actually be only on mobile, but I'm not sure about that. Anyway, don't want to delve into it too deep, but I thought it was interesting to see. And he speaks French.
I think he is.
Which is not
Isn't his
mostly
mom French?
Oh, could be. Yeah, but it doesn't say English for languages. It just says French for an American. That's not typical. It doesn't say English French.
Well, that's
anyway.
A shame. Nah, we lost him.
Yeah. Well, he could always become Canadian, right?
No, that's true. He can move to Quebec. Yeah, I'm okay with that. Did you know the name Friedrich Mühlbacher before?
Yes.
This
yes.
You did? Okay.
I can't say I knew much about him, but I had seen the name before. Yeah.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. He's a cross country convert from 2020, 2021, somewhere in that range. So he had previously had one 6th place finish, and this weekend he had his best shooting of his career. He hit, I think 95%, so 19 out of 20 in the individual and 10 of 10 in the sprint. And of course he got a silver and a bronze. So it's really nice. He clearly has the speed. So if he's able to hit, like, he can be fairly competitive.
How old is he?
He's 27. So he's still got a few. It's not like he's at the end of his career. So I think that with him, and then there's another Fabian Mühlauer, who is another young Austrian. I think he's like 23, 22, somewhere in that range. And also shows some promise. So some young Austrians coming up. I'm pretty excited about that.
Well, that's good. because it's not like they're loaded with, you know.
Yeah.
They have some good athletes, don't get me wrong, but
well, they need to match the women, because the army of Annas from Austria. We've got Anna Gondler, Anna Andexer, and Anna Jupa all going. That's 3/5 of the world championship team.
Well, no, there's a lookalike of Anna Gondler showing up.
There is. I know
the picture. I think from Latvia, and the funny part is because the Latvian flag looks so much like the Austrian flag from afar.
Yeah,
I was like, huh? That looks. It took me a second to look. And we're talking about Anija Sabula. So basically Anna as well, you know.
Of course, yeah. There's got to be another Anna out there, you know. We need more of them.
Yeah. Anyway. No, what I wanted to say earlier about today's race is that Sondre Slettemark got an 8th.
Yes. I cannot believe that he is only, I think, 20 years old. Because we have known his name because his sister started racing at such a young age. So we've seen the name Slettemark now for, 4 or 5 years. And, you know, that he is still only 20 is pretty remarkable.
Now, I don't know what the status of either one is with regards to the World Championships, but
they're going to be there.
Both of them?
Yeah. They're going to, I think
single
they're going to
mixed
run
relay?
Single mixed, yeah.
Will that not be amazing to see?
It's going to make me so happy to see Greenland out there. For maybe the last time ever before they're purchased by...
Oh, don't go there.
Clearly I'm joking. I am not advocating for that in the least.
I wish you could say 100% like you were joking, and unfortunately you're not. But
yeah, I know. Yeah.
No. Anyway, no, I think that would be fantastic to see both of them in one race.
Oh yeah, yeah. It's going to be so cool to see that flag.
Yeah.
There was something else from the European Championships, and it's escaped me.
Maybe we'll come back.
Yeah.
I was talking about Canadians today. Actually, Matt Strum qualified for the pursuit for tomorrow, or
fun.
Not sure if it's tomorrow. He got in 56th with one miss standing, one miss prone. And Zach Connolly unfortunately missed out by 2 spots by just 3.4 seconds. So that's... Moira Green, 2 prone misses, clean on standing, and Janice Grundahl, another awesome shooting with no misses, got in 50th and 59th respectively, and also qualified for the pursuit.
I am really... I'm struggling how to say this. So we hold, and we should hold, Canadian and American athletes to a different standard. Because I think, you know, their support is not quite there. And so when I say that I'm really happy, I don't want it to be patronizing, you know, but I'm really happy for these Canadian and American, you know, like celebrating Chloe Levins, you know, and getting her career best in 16th place. Like, you know, I think that if you're a fan of the German team, you know, 16th place, you know, whatever, you know, why are we so excited about that? But it's sometimes the little victories that kind of make me the happiest. And so you mentioned making the pursuit, and I was like, that's actually a really big thing. The fact that you have made it to race another day, it's not just about the points or anything like that, but just like, hey, look, you have gotten into another race. That's just like one more race worth of experience. And it just, it kind of
it is about the points too, because obviously having more points from another race, or the potential, will help the team in their national team position. I don't know if there's prize money involved, but I just think, you know, for their position on the rankings, it's good. It helps them towards the IBU Cup qualification points. So yeah, no, there's a lot to be excited about. When you started your sentence, I was like, you said, I'm going to hold the Canadian and Americans to a different standard. And I'm like, oh, where's this going between the two countries? But I see what you mean now. Yeah.
Yeah, it's
a group of North American athletes.
I don't expect them to be like the French women, like packing everybody into the top 10. Like, would I be thrilled if that was the case? Yeah,
Yeah, of
absolutely.
course, yeah.
But the same thing with Darcy and Danica Morton, right, from Australia, right? If they make it into if they make it to the pursuit, like that's a great day. Like that they made it there, and it's okay to celebrate that. 55th place, is a good thing. Or I was actually when I was talking really slowly, I was scrolling down because I was trying to remember. I think it's Teresa Booley is an American who finished in 58th today, and
nice.
That's really big for her because if you look back, you see that in Brezno she was 39th in the sprint, and if you go back before that, she was 49th in a sprint a few weeks ago. But those are like the only times that she's qualified for the pursuit. Or would have qualified because there was no pursuit in Arbor. So like those are really big important things. So it's not a top 10, it's not a podium, but
well, and even things like shooting clean or just having one miss in an individual, that kind of thing, right?
Yes.
It's just good experience and confidence builder.
And you did it, and you can do it again, right?
Yeah.
And it's just So
and I do think, especially Americans, Canadians, like other than Russia, maybe it's the only two countries that, we have our struggles, as in biathlon definitely not being like the top sport of the nation by any means. But they're probably also the only two countries that really have to deal with, having athletes living thousands of kilometers away from each other. And, how do you keep that operate as one unit? And so I think there's, on top of the fact that we're already, sometimes struggling to get attention to biathlon in our countries, that doesn't help either, right? So it's even more impressive when you consider that they're still, doing well in the sprint, placing themselves in the pursuit, and just being on TV. And I think it was really cool with I don't remember which race it was, but and I don't want them to be in that spot where sometimes they're just ahead of the leaders of the race in like the third leg of and so you actually see Canadians on TV for quite a bit, and we've seen it with them and also other nations, smaller nations, that at the end of an individual, for example, when they have the high starting bibs, and there's big races are done, and then you actually have time to see the Canadians perform on TV, and it's it's just really cool to see.
Borglum last year at the Worlds, in the individual, where he got a lot of screen time because he was in bib like 96 or something like that, and so he got to, he got some screen time just being out there and racing. It was just nice to see.
Well, and just now the Open European, I remember, and again I don't know what race, but Matt Strum was, I think his whole shooting was on there, and it's the guy you talked to 2 weeks before.
Yeah,
right. So it's
really cool.
It's just super cool to see that these guys are just out there and kicking it, and it's pretty cool.
Speaking of holding to a different standard, I think of somebody, Donia Zaduc. She got sick or injured at the beginning of the year. She started out the year on the World Cup, and then I think she raced one race in Hochfilzen and then went home, and she just came back. She raced one time at the European Championships. I didn't have a great race in the individual, but she shot clean today, and she finished in 25th. So, just
progress.
Little steps, right? Just getting out there and getting the races back in. She's 31 years old, 32 years old, somewhere in that range. And, she's a veteran. So, finishing 25th, she's probably not like, I finished 25th, but like, you have to take the little wins, right? And just be happy that you're taking that next step.
It's looking up, right?
Yep.
Anything else in the last week and a half?
There were a couple of people I wanted to mention just because they secured World Championship spots. We already mentioned Anna-Karin Heijdenberg and Friedrich Milbacher. But Tomas Makiska finished in 10th in the individual, and pretty much because of that, he got a World Championship spot for this coming week. So congratulations to him.
What team? Sorry, is it American or?
Czech team. Yeah.
Oh, Czech team. Okay.
Yeah. And then I think it was, or I think the French women are actually deciding today or this week who they're going to take between Paula Botte and Sophie Chavot and that group. That was the other thing I wanted to mention, was just that, if you are watching this weekend, that's sort of the race within the races. Whoever the top performing French woman is, that's going to be who gets to go.
Maybe that coach and Ziggy can have a
drink,
good glass of wine, and share some experiences.
Oh, speaking of today, I should have mentioned this hours ago, because I feel like we've been recording now for for about 3.5 hours. Daria, is it Gembicka? Gembicka. She's a Polish woman, and she had her career best today. She finished in 12th. Yep. And her career best before today was in 25th, and she set that all the way a week ago. So she finished 25th in the pursuit. So that's a pretty good week. You set a career best, and then your very next race out there, you crush it and get all the way to 12th. Yeah. So that's pretty cool. Yeah, sorry, I meant to mention that a while ago because I was so excited about it this morning.
So 6th in the pursuit is her goal then.
I mean, you got to keep having it, right? And then she's going to be on the podium by
there you go.
in Otapa. Yeah.
All right.
Oh, never mind. I thought of something. We were reading the media guide last night. You and I were, and there was something I wanted to mention, but I want to hold this because I actually want to. If you are free on Sunday night, I would like to do a quick World Championship preview. Yep.
Okay.
Then let's call it here, because for a random Tuesday or Wednesday afternoon, this is turned into another hour-long podcast. So great.
I was looking at the time at some point. I was like, oh, this might actually work in an hour, but
no,
just slightly over.
Yeah.
All right. Well, thanks for listening, everyone. We're totally looking forward to the World Championships, but like Jordan said, we'll connect one more time before that to kind of go over our thoughts. Probably has some predictions for Norwegian and French flags in it.
Mm-hmm. I would imagine that we'll see a couple of those.
But I'm sure we'll find plenty of other things also from the IBU Cup that's going on right now. So thanks everyone for listening, and you'll hear from us soon.
All right. Bye, guys.
Bye.